All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're going to unpack how those crazy year-to-date headline news trends, specifically the intense international trade disputes out of Washington, have accidentally accelerated the future of industrial AI on muddy construction sites. It's a fascinating domino effect. We're literally looking at a story that starts with sweeping USMCA tariffs and ends with an off-the-shelf smartphone completely transforming how we handle commercial trash. It's wild, so let's get into it.
Here is our quick roadmap for today. First, we'll cover the USMCA trade war. Second, Ontario's Michigan waste corridor. Third, the 905 Wood digital refinery. Fourth, the sentient bridge AI stack. Fifth, how we go from mud to math. And finally, the USMCA tariff shield. Starting with Section 1, the USMCA trade war and the macro-level chaos it kicked off. So, think back to early 2025. The U.S. was heavily leveraging tariffs to pressure its North American partners. One specific, frankly unexpected target caught in the crossfire was HS Code 3825.10. That's the official classification for municipal solid waste, or MSW. Now, even though these broad 25% tariffs were eventually suspended for goods compliant with the USMCA, or CUSMA as it's known up in Canada, a massive 40% penalty remained for non-compliant waste. They called it the transshipment trap. All of a sudden, this single policy threatened the fundamental economic viability of how North America handles its trash across borders. Which brings us to Section 2, Ontario's Michigan waste corridor, a massive regional bottleneck. To put this into perspective, look at this number, 3.46 million tons. That is the staggering amount of Canadian refuse, predominantly from Ontario, that was exported directly across the border into Michigan landfills in fiscal year 2024 alone. Why so much? Well, Doug Ford's Ontario is currently staring down a severe domestic capacity cliff. Their local landfills are literally projected to be completely full by 2034, so they have to send it somewhere. And on the flip side, Michigan actually relies incredibly heavily on these Canadian imports. That 3.46 million tons, it makes up over 14% of all the municipal solid waste disposed of in Michigan landfills. We aren't just talking about a few trucks here and there. This is a massive, deeply entrenched industrial pipeline. Now, this corridor exists mainly because of economics, specifically a tipping fee arbitrage. Historically, Michigan charged a rock-bottom fee of just 36 cents per ton to dump waste. But recently, to deter these massive imports during all this broader trade friction, Michigan's governor, Gretchen Whitmer, proposed a huge fee hike, up to $5 per ton. Essentially, they were trying to slam the gate shut from the inside. This put an incredible squeeze on Canadian logistics companies, who were suddenly facing border tariffs from Washington on one side and skyrocketing dumping fees from Michigan on the other. So what do? Let's pivot to Section 3, the 905 Wood digital refinery, which is basically the micro-solution to this macro problem. These guys realized that simply burying wood wasn't going to cut it anymore. As they put it, the 905 Wood digital refinery acts as a sentient bridge. Instead of using a traditional low-value mulch model, they treat wood residue not as trash, but as a high-fidelity data asset. By processing it like a modern oil refinery, they're stepping up to secure Ontario's industrial leadership in the global circular bioeconomy. They are literally turning a massive logistical liability into a highly controlled, incredibly valuable commodity. But before any of the digital magic happens, you have to control the physical material. They completely dominate feedstock acquisition by hauling away massive amounts of raw wood scrap from chaotic job sites using these incredibly specialized, heavy-duty 144-yard walking floor trailers. And the whole thing starts with an automated request for quote, instantly calculating weight-to-volume metrics to seamlessly kick off the entire logistics layer. Moving on to Section 4, the sentient bridge AI stack, or, as I like to think of it, consumer tech surviving harsh realities. This is the ultimate Trojan horse reveal, in my opinion. Instead of dropping 10 grand on some rugged, specialized industrial scanner, they're using an off-the-shelf Google Pixel 10 Pro running Android 16. They are deploying consumer hardware, equipped with the LightArt AI stack and Gemini Nano on-device, directly into muddy, completely disconnected environments. I know it sounds crazy, but it works flawlessly. And there's a very specific reason this phone was chosen. It's not about taking nice photos, it is entirely about the silicon. Its custom neural processing unit, the Tensor G5 chip, is built for intense, non-stop mathematical crunching. Look, a normal phone would absolutely melt trying to run heavy AI models in the summer heat of a construction site. But the Pixel 10 Pro handles a full 8-hour continuous duty cycle without breaking a sweat. Here is Section 5, From Mud to Math, breaking down the actual 4-stage workflow. These 4 simple steps transform a pile of muddy 2x4s into a strictly verifiable digital asset right there at the edge. No Wi-Fi required. First, the driver does a visual scan in under 2 seconds. Second, the system monitors audio for context. Third, it performs an atomic inspection using X-ray sensors to check for heavy metals. And finally, step 4, it uses a process called RAG, or Retrieval Augmented Generation, to instantly map all that data against complex legal compliance codes. What's genuinely brilliant here is how it solves the visual fallacy. The system actually distrusts its own eyes. Gemini Nano uses semantic audio monitoring to listen for the driver casually mentioning context clues like decking or railway ties. So even if the wood looks perfectly clean to the camera lens, the AI flags it as chemically hazardous, catching invisible toxic treatments like arsenic. This guarantees the high-purity output that is strictly required for those biocarbon energy markets. Finally, Section 6, the USMCA Tariff Shield, taking us back up to the macro level. Because here is the final magic trick. The digital refinery application workflow outputs a PDF document. It spits out this unapologetically ugly digital passport that is specifically designed for maximum industrial legibility. But this document acts as an impenetrable certificate of origin for compliance and verification. It features legal citations, GPS timestamps, and a cryptographic USMCA compliance hash that provides hard, undeniable verification that the material is 100% Canadian. This perfect compliance mapping effortlessly bypasses that looming 40% transshipment penalty at the border we talked about earlier. By operationalizing this specific AI stack, 905 Wood totally flips the economics. They achieve a tipping fee arbitrage that saves nearly $48 per ton compared to standard landfill costs. Think about that. They aren't just dodging tariffs, they are actively printing value out of logistical chaos. It really leaves you wondering about the invisible systems running our world, doesn't it? If we can use the literal computer in our pocket to navigate international trade wars and redefine the circular economy, what other waste is out there right now just waiting for the right algorithm to turn it from mud into math? Keep that in mind the next time you walk past a messy construction site. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.